As an England fan, I'm super excited about this one. West Ham United have agreed to sign Kalvin Phillips on loan from Manchester City for the remainder of the season with an option to buy. The 28-year-old midfielder has only made 31 appearances since his move to the Citizens from his hometown club Leeds United in July of 2022. However, when you think about the task that he had at hand to displace the treble-winning Rodri, De Bruyne and Gundogan in midfield was always going to be a difficult task. However, especially this season, he would have been expected to play more games, considering Gundogan is left on the free to join Barcelona, De Bruyne got injured on the opening game of the Premier League season, and Rodri has been suspended during this course of the season for his chokehold on Morgan Gibbs-White. So the minutes have been there for him to have the game time, but he hasn't been given the opportunity by Pep Guardiola. And Pep has nothing bad to say about him. He just said he just can't envisage Phillips in his team at this moment in time, and therefore he needs to go out and get some game time. And we're better than West Ham, a team and a manager who wanted to sign him before he made a switch to Manchester City from Leeds United. And I think it's one where he can provide both first team quality and depth for David Moyes' side, and I think he improves him straight away. But where does he fit in? West Ham United typically line up in a 4-2-3-1, and I think Kalvin Phillips is definitely going to be playing either one of the 6 or the 8 position in that midfield, depending on the opposition on the day, rotation with the other midfielders in the squad, and also in-game management and what the game requires. And one of the issues that Kalvin Phillips immediately solves for David Moyes and his West Ham side is that he is much better in possession than some of the other midfielders on the books. If you analyse West Ham's 10 wins in the Premier League so far this season, 7 of them have come in which they have had less possession than the opposition, which goes to show that they're an incredibly good side out of possession, but in possession they really struggle to break a team down, which is something that frustrated West Ham fans in David Moyes' first tenure at the club, and is frustrating them yet again because they have clearly the quality of players to be able to break a team down, but they just can't seem to do so, and Kalvin Phillips will help with that. He prefers to play with the defence in front of him, and then he can make passes to the left and to the right, and when you consider his range and accuracy of pass, he's immediately going to improve that West Ham midfield to help break teams down. If you analyse the games against Everton and Crystal Palace, it was incredibly frustrating because they had the lion's share of possession, but they couldn't do anything with it, and hopefully Phillips would be a solution to that problem. And then when you look at Phillips' passing numbers for Manchester City, you can see passes completed 98th percentile and passes completed 99th percentile, and that's incredibly impressive. But I know what you're saying, he plays for Manchester City, a very ball dominant team who always have possession, constantly fighting for the biggest trophies. So what about his numbers for Leeds United? That's maybe a better sample size. Well, if you just remember this number here, his passes completed, he's in the 99th percentile, Kalvin Phillips, for Manchester City, and his passes completed rate is 92.4%. In Leeds United's first season back in the Premier League, the 2021 season, they obviously finished 9th, did very well, and that season Kalvin Phillips had a pass completed accuracy of 82%. Very good. But for me, the thing that really shines is that the next season, where Leeds United really struggled, they only just narrowly avoided relegation and finishing in 17th place. He had a pass completed rate of 80.9%. Compare that to 92.4% for Manchester City this season, which puts him in the 99th percentile. Compare that to 80.9 for a really struggling, nearly relegated side in the Premier League. I think chalk and cheese, at the comparison, it just goes to show what a great passer of the ball that Kalvin Phillips is. So let's say in the hypothetical world that all the West Ham midfielders are fit and available, who starts between Edson Alvarez, James Ward-Prowse, Thomas Soucek and Kalvin Phillips? Well, I think it depends on the situation. I think the one must midfielder is Edson Alvarez, because I think so far this season he's been absolutely phenomenal. His defensive capabilities to make interception blocks and tackles and protect that West Ham backline has been crucial to the way David Moyes has wanted to play and West Ham's defence. I think the partner next to him is debatable between the other 3. I think what we've seen so far this season is that when Alvarez hasn't been playing this season, in the 4 games that he hasn't played in the Premier League, West Ham haven't won a single one of those, which just goes to show how important he is. And I think Thomas Soucek and James Ward-Prowse, while Edson Alvarez have been injured recently, have been doing an okay job, but I think both of them really want to be focused more on the offensive side of this game, and really together they don't have the defensive solidarity or the control in that midfield to really get a hold of the game, as we saw against Sheffield United most recently, in which Ben Johnson came in and actually really he came on and solidified it, which wasn't the most inspiring of substitutions whatsoever. So I think the option to have Kalvin Phillips as well does help, and I think it does depend on the game. I think occasionally occasionally, as we've seen with West Ham's injuries as of late, James Ward-Prowse has been pushing further forward into that number 10 position, but then with Alvarez's injury, that's meant that no one else has been able to play alongside Thomas Souček, so James Ward-Prowse had to drop deep as well. So it goes to show that having another body like Kalvin Phillips can also contribute to the effectiveness of West Ham going forward for the rest of the season. And West Ham are really going to need another body in that midfield anyway, because of the fact that they've only played 21 games so far this season in the league. They've got under 17 to go. Plus, if you count the fact that they're in the last 16 of the Europa League and not the 32 because they finished top of the Europa League group, then that means that if West Ham were to go all the way to the final, which isn't an outlandish achievement for them this season, then there would be an extra 7 games as well. So 24 more games to go between February and May 22nd, which is the Europa League final. And when you take into account that there's 2 weeks of that is going to be another international break, I think West Ham really need Kalvin Phillips in that midfield to be able to help him out body-wise and quality-wise. And I think he offers something different, and that's something that no other West Ham midfielder has, and also gives David Moyes and West Ham a bit more control and solidarity in that midfield. And I think it's one where, in my opinion, it's a very good signing. It's just a loan deal. It's very similar to the Timo Werner signing, which you can check out on my channel, which I reacted to. I think it's one where, when it's a loan deal, very little can go wrong apart from the fact that you're paying Kalvin Phillips very, very high wages. But I think it's a player just for 6 months. And if he turns out to be amazing, of course you can go ahead and sign him. But if he doesn't work out, then you just send him back to Manchester City and you wash your hands clean of him. I don't think it's a bad signing. I've seen a lot of West Ham fans maybe not happy with it, but I think on the surface of it, I can understand it. But when you look deeper, this is a really good signing for West Ham for the remainder of the season. And when you take into account that they're 6th at this moment in time, they could really be pushing for Europe and potentially Europe in the league as well.